plasma round took Sergeant Marcus Cole in the shoulder, spinning him into the barricade he'd spent 3 hours building from wreckage. Blood, his blood, painted the scorched metal of the Meridian Bridge's control station. "Human defender, you are alone." The voice cut through the smoke like a blade forged in cold stars. "Your reinforcements will not arrive. Your fleet burns in orbit. Surrender the bridge and I will grant you a warrior's death." Cole pressed his back against the console, checking his rifle's charge. 18%. He had 2 grenades, a combat knife, and 9 hours until the evacuation transports cleared the planet's gravity well. 9 hours to hold a choke point against the Veth'kai Dominion's advance force. He laughed, a broken, bloody sound. "Lady, I've had worse odds in a bar fight on Titan." The Veth'kai warriors didn't advance. That was his first clue that whoever commanded them wasn't ordinary. Standard Dominion doctrine called for overwhelming force, immediate assault, acceptable losses. Instead, the alien troops held position at the bridge's far end, their bioluminescent armor pulsing in disciplined unison. Then she walked through their ranks. Warlord Kiraveth stood 7 feet tall, her obsidian carapace gleaming with the kill marks of 100 campaigns. The crest rising from her skull, a sign of noble blood among her kind, caught the dying light of the burning city behind her. 4 arms, each ending in claws that could tear through hull plating, hung relaxed at her sides. She didn't need weapons. She was a weapon. "You find humor in death, human?" Her compound eyes studied him with an intensity that made Cole's skin crawl. "Your species confuses me. You lack strength, speed, natural armor. Your lifespans are pathetically brief. Yet you fight. We're stubborn like that." Stubborn. She tasted the word. "My tacticians call it stupidity. They say humans cannot recognize when they are beaten." Cole pulled himself upright, leaving a smear of red on the console. The bridge's defense grid was still operational, he'd made sure of that. 6 automated turrets, a hard-light barrier generator, and enough explosive charges to turn the whole structure into a crater if things went sideways. "Maybe we just don't like being told what to do." Kiraveth's mandibles clicked, their equivalent of a smile Cole had learned during his years fighting the Dominion. "I am Kiraveth, Warlord of the Third Talon, conqueror of the HFY Nebula, she who broke the spine of the Korvathi Empire." She took a step forward, and the bridge trembled. "I have crushed 17 species beneath my heel. I have never lost a battle. There's a first time for everything. You are one human. Wounded. Alone. I have 400 warriors and armor support en route." She tilted her head, studying him like a scientist, examining a particularly interesting insect. "Why do you not run?" Cole thought about the evacuation ships. 12,000 civilians, families, children, the elderly and sick who couldn't fight. The colonial government had written them off when the Dominion fleet arrived. Standard protocol: military assets retreat, civilians shelter in place, hope for liberation that never comes. Cole had told his commanding officer exactly where he could shove standard protocol. "I held the bridge for 9 hours, he said, more to himself than to her. "The alien warlord herself came to break me. 9 hours? Kiraveth's crest flared with what might have been amusement. "You believe you can hold this position for 9 hours against me?" "I don't believe anything, Warlord. I'm just too stupid to know when I'm beaten." She stared at him for a long moment. Then she raised one of her upper arms, signaling her troops. "First wave, take the bridge, bring me his head." 20 Veth'kai warriors surged forward, their movements fluid and predatory. Cole hit the defense grid activation and dove behind the console as the turrets opened fire. The night had just begun. Hour 3. Cole's hands shook as he replaced the turret's power cell. 2 of the 6 guns were slag now, overwhelmed by concentrated fire during the second assault. The hard light barrier had held, but its generator was running hot. Another hour of sustained bombardment, and it would fail. 17 dead Veth'kai littered the bridge approach. Not enough. Not nearly enough. "You fight with more skill than I anticipated." Kiraveth's voice came from the darkness beyond the barrier. She hadn't participated in the assaults. A warlord of her status wouldn't dirty her claws on a single human defender. But she'd watched. Cole could feel her eyes on him through every exchange. "I've been killing your people for 6 years, he called back, not looking up from his work. "Picked up a few tricks. 6 years. A pause. "You were at Helion the Fourth Or." Cole's hand stopped. Helion the Fifth. The massacre that had turned the war from a border dispute into an existential struggle. 30,000 human colonists, slaughtered in a single night. Cole had been part of the relief force that arrived too late. "Yeah. I was at Helion. That engagement was commanded by Warlord Veth'kai, a fool who believed terror was superior to tactics." Kiraveth's tone carried something unexpected: contempt. He brought shame upon the Dominion. His methods were wasteful. Wasteful. Cole slammed the power cell home with more force than necessary. "That's what you call murdering 30,000 civilians. I call it poor strategy. Dead populations cannot be subjugated, cannot produce resources, cannot serve the Dominion's expansion. She stepped closer to the barrier's edge, her form rippling with barely contained power. Veth'kai was executed for his failure. Not for the deaths, for the unified human response is atrocity provoked. Good to know you've got standards. You mock me, human. But consider, before Helion, your species was fractured. Dozens of nations, competing interests, petty conflicts. Veth'kai's stupidity forged you into a single blade aimed at our throat. Her compound eyes gleamed. I do not make such mistakes. Cole finally looked up. Is that why you're talking to me instead of just bombing this bridge from orbit? Silence. Then slowly, Kiravith's mandibles clicked. The bridge's reactor. You've rigged it. Took you long enough to figure out. If I destroy the bridge from range, the reactor detonates. The explosion would collapse the canyon walls, blocking the only road to the evacuation zone for, she calculated, approximately 14 hours, long enough for your transports to escape. Like I said. Picked up a few tricks. Kiravith was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice had changed. Less commanding, more curious. You would die, vaporized in the blast. No body to return to your people, no honors, no memory. Just ash. The people on those transports would live. You do not know them. They are not your clan, your bloodline. Why would you sacrifice yourself for strangers? Cole checked his rifle. 12% charge now. He was running out of options. Because someone has to. The fourth assault came without warning. Veth'kai shock troops with personal shields, advancing in a tight formation that minimized the turret's effectiveness. Cole burned through half his remaining ammunition, driving them back, and when the smoke cleared, another turret was dead. 3 guns left. 6 hours to go. Your barrier generator is failing. Kiravith had moved during the assault, circling to a new position. 2 more attacks and it will collapse. Then there will be nothing between you and my warriors. Then I guess I'll have to get creative. Creative. That word again, rolling off her tongue like something foreign. Your species uses that word often. My translators struggle with its full meaning. Cole popped a stim pack, feeling the chemicals surge through his exhausted body. It would keep him functional for a few more hours, but the crash afterward would be brutal, assuming he lived that long. It means finding solutions that aren't in the manual. There are no manuals for war. Only doctrine refined through generations of, that's your problem right there. Cole stood, rolling his injured shoulder. The wound had clotted, but every movement sent fire through his nervous system. You've got doctrine. Rules, doctrine. The way things are supposed to be done. We've got desperation and duct tape. Duct tape? It's a human thing. You wouldn't understand. The 5th assault was different. Instead of a frontal charge, the Veth'kai tried to flank, warriors with grappling gear scaling the canyon walls to approach from above. Cole had anticipated this. The charges he'd planted on the cliff face brought 1,000 tons of rock down on their heads. Kiravith watched her soldiers die without expression. You knew we would try that approach. It's what I would have done. You think like a Veth'kai. I think like someone who wants to survive. For the first time, something shifted in the Warlord's posture. Not respect, not yet, but recognition. The acknowledgement that the insects she'd planned to crush might have a sting worth considering. What is your name, human? Cole. Sergeant Marcus Cole, 14th Orbital Drop Infantry. Sergeant. She tested the rank. Not an officer. Not a commander. A common soldier. Nothing common about me, Warlord. Her mandibles clicked again. No, I'm beginning to see that. Hour 7. The barrier was down. 2 turrets remained, both running on emergency power. Cole had retreated to the control station, turning the cramped space into a kill box of overlapping fire lanes and improvised explosives. His rifle was dead. He'd switched to his sidearm, 40 rounds, plus the knife. The stimpack was wearing off, and his hands had developed a tremor that made aiming difficult. Kiravith stood at the edge of the bridge now, close enough that Cole could see the individual facets of her compound eyes. She hadn't ordered an assault in over an hour. Your reinforcements are not coming, I know. The evacuation transports have cleared the atmosphere. They will reach jump distance in approximately 2 hours. Cole's heart stuttered. You're tracking them? Of course. 3 vessels, 12,407 life signs, moving at maximum sublight speed toward the system's edge. She paused. I could intercept them. My cruiser in orbit has more than enough firepower. The words hit Cole like a physical blow. All of this, the fighting, the dying, the 9 hours of hell, meaningless. She could kill everyone he was trying to save with a single command. Why haven't you? Kiravith was silent for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was quieter than before. I am uncertain. Uncertain? Cole laughed bitterly. The great warlord Kiravith uncertain about killing humans? That's a first. You misunderstand. She took a step onto the bridge, and Cole raised his pistol. She ignored it. I have killed many humans. I will kill many more before this war ends. But you... She gestured at the carnage around them. The dead warriors, the destroyed equipment, the blood-soaked bridge. You have cost me 63 soldiers. Soldiers I cannot replace easily. Resources that should have been spent conquering this world wasted on a single bridge defended by a single human. Sorry to inconvenience you. You are not sorry. You're proud. She took another step, as you should be. In 7 hours, you have done what no enemy has accomplished in my entire career. You have made me doubt. Cole's finger tightened on the trigger. Stay back. If I wanted you dead, Sergeant Cole, you would be dead. I could cross this distance before you fired twice. She stopped, just outside arm's reach. I am here to understand. Understand what? Why you fight? Not for territory, you are losing this world regardless. Not for resources, you have none worth taking. Not for honor, your people do not share our concepts of glory in battle. Her crest lowered, a sign of genuine confusion. You fight for strangers. For people you will never meet, who will never know your name. This makes no sense to me. Cole lowered his pistol slightly. Not because he trusted her, he didn't. But because his arm was shaking too badly to maintain aim. It's called hope. Hope. Another foreign word. Vain. Those people on the transports, they're going to reach human space. They're going to tell everyone what happened here. How the Dominion came with overwhelming force, and one soldier held them off long enough for the evacuation to succeed. He met her compound eyes without flinching. And the next time your fleet shows up at a human world, there's going to be 1,000 soldiers ready to do the same thing. Because they'll know it's possible. You die so that others will fight. I die so that others will believe they can win. Kiraveth stood motionless for a long moment. Then, slowly, she reached up and removed something from her carapace. A small medallion, inscribed with symbols Cole didn't recognize. This is my clan mark. It has been carried by the firstborn of my bloodline for 600 years. She held it out to him. Take it. Why? Because when you die, and you will die, Sergeant Cole, I want you to carry something of worth into whatever afterlife your species believes in. You have earned that much. Cole stared at the medallion. His hand moved without conscious thought, accepting the gift. The transports, he said. You won't intercept them? No. Why? Kiraveth turned away, looking out at the burning city beyond the bridge. Because you have taught me something, human. Something my people forgot long ago. She glanced back at him. That there are victories more important than conquest. The 7th assault came then, not from Kiraveth's forces, but from the sky. Dominion dropships carrying fresh troops from orbit. Reinforcements she hadn't requested. Warlord. One of her officers rushed forward. High Command has sent the 12th Legion to assist. They say you are taking too long. Kiraveth's crest flared with unmistakable rage. I did not request assistance. High Command believes the bridge should have fallen hours ago. They are concerned about your performance. Cole watched the exchange with growing unease. Something had shifted. The dynamic between him and Kiraveth was no longer simply enemy against enemy. There was something else now, something neither of them had expected. The 12th Legion, Kiraveth said slowly. Commanded by Warlord Veth'kai's successor. His bloodheir, Veth'kai. Ah? The single syllable carried a weight of history Cole couldn't fully understand. So, the spawn comes to claim glory from my campaign. Warlord, what are your orders? Kiraveth looked at Cole. He looked back, seeing something in her compound eyes that hadn't been there before. My orders, she said, are to hold this position until I say otherwise. The 12th Legion will not set foot on this bridge. But Warlord, did I stutter, Commander? The officer retreated, and Kiraveth turned to face the approaching dropships. Her forearms flexed, claws extending to their full length. It seems, Sergeant Cole, that we have a common enemy. What are you talking about? Veth'kai is here to kill you, take credit for this victory, and use it to challenge my position in the Dominion hierarchy. If he succeeds, he will pursue your evacuation transports and destroy them, not for strategic value, but for spite. She looked at him. I will not allow this. You're going to fight your own people. For me? Not for you. For the principle you represent. Her mandibles clicked. And perhaps, because I am tired of fighting enemies who do not deserve my respect. Cole stared at her for a long moment. Then, slowly, he raised his pistol, not at her, but at the approaching dropships. I've got 40 rounds and a bad attitude. What's the plan? Kiraveth's crest rose, and for the first time, Cole saw something that might have been a smile. Now, Sergeant Cole, we get creative. The 12th Legion hit the bridge like a hammer. 300 fresh troops against a wounded human and a warlord who had just committed treason. It wasn't enough. Kiraveth moved like nothing Cole had ever seen. Her forearms became a blur of death, each strike precise, economical, devastating. She didn't fight like the other Veth'kai he'd encountered, all rage and overwhelming force. She fought like a surgeon, removing threats with clinical efficiency. Cole covered her flank, his 40 rounds becoming 30, then 20, then 10. When the pistol clicked empty, he drew his knife and kept fighting. You were injured, Kiraveth observed, gutting a soldier who'd gotten too close. I've been injured for 9 hours. This is nothing new. Your species' pain tolerance is remarkable. We prefer the term too dumb to quit. Veth'kai announced himself with a plasma blast that nearly took Cole's head off. The young warlord was smaller than Kiraveth, his carapace unmarked by the kill signs of experience. But his eyes burned with ambition and hate. Traitor, he screamed. You side with the human against your own blood? You are not my blood, whelp. Kiraveth positioned herself between Veth'kai and Cole. You are the spawn of a fool and you carry his weakness in your veins. My father conquered more worlds than you ever will. Your father murdered civilians and called it victory. He died screaming and the Dominion is stronger for his absence. She raised her claws. You will join him. The duel was brief and brutal. Veth'kai had youth and rage, Kiraveth had 600 years of combat evolution, and the cold precision of a true warrior. When it ended, the young warlord lay broken at her feet, his blood mixing with the human and Veth'kai dead that covered the bridge. It is done. Kiraveth turned to face the remaining 12th Legion troops. Your commander is dead. Your mission is failed. Return to your ships and report to High Command that Warlord Kiraveth holds this position. The soldiers hesitated. Then, one by one they retreated. Cole slumped against the console, his knife slipping from fingers that had finally stopped working. The adrenaline was gone, the stim pack was gone, and 9 hours of combat had finally caught up with him. The transports he managed. Did they? They reached jump distance 4 minutes ago, they are gone. Kiraveth crouched beside him, her massive form somehow less threatening than before. You succeeded, Sergeant Cole. Your people are safe. Good. He closed his eyes. That's good. You are dying. Probably. I could save you. Veth'kai medical technology is advanced. Your wounds are severe but not irreparable. Cole opened his eyes. Why would you do that? Kiraveth was silent for a moment. Then she reached out with one of her smaller arms and touched the medallion still clutched in his hand. Because I do not wish to see you die. Because you have shown me something I thought impossible, a human worthy of respect. Because... She paused and something flickered in her compound eyes. Because I find myself curious about what else your species might teach me. That sounds dangerously close to friendship, Warlord, perhaps. She lifted him easily, cradling his broken body against her carapace. Or perhaps it is something else. Something neither of our species has words for yet. Cole laughed weakly. My commanding officers are going to have questions about this, as will mine. I have committed treason, killed a rival warlord, and am now carrying a human enemy to my medical bay. Her mandibles clicked. I suspect my career trajectory has changed significantly. Welcome to the club. As Kiraveth carried him toward her shuttle, Cole looked back at the bridge. 9 hours. 63 enemy dead by his hand, hundreds more by hers. A political upheaval that would reshape the Dominion's internal power structure. And 12,000 humans who would live to see another day. Not bad for a common soldier. Sergeant Cole, yeah? When you recover, and you will recover, I would ask something of you. What's that? Kiraveth's crest rose, catching the first light of dawn breaking over the burning city. The next battle. I would have you beside me, not against me. Cole considered this. A human fighting alongside a Veth'kai warlord. The political implications alone would give both their governments collective aneurysms. He smiled. Think I'd like that, Warlord. Kira, what, my name? Among my people, only clanmates and, she hesitated, those of significance use it. You have earned the right. Kira. He tested the name. Okay. But only if you call me Marcus. Marcus. Her compound eyes met his, and something passed between them. Not quite romance, not quite friendship, but the foundation of something that might become both. Rest now, Marcus. We have much work ahead of us. As the shuttle lifted off, Marcus closed his eyes. He'd held the bridge for 9 hours. The alien warlord herself had come to break him. Instead, she'd found something worth saving. And somewhere in the vast darkness between stars, 12,000 humans were going home. The end YouTube description, 1,000 characters, 9 hours. 1 bridge. 1 wounded human. Sergeant Marcus Cole is the last defender on Meridian Bridge, 2 grenades, a dying rifle, and a countdown until 12,000 civilians escape the planet. The Veth'kai Dominion should have crushed him in minutes. Till their warlord arrives in person. Kiraveth isn't here for a quick victory. She's here to understand the human who keeps refusing to break. Who rigs the bridge reactor, turns doctrine into a liability, and chooses strangers over survival. In the middle of the smoke she offers him her clan mark. And lets the evacuation ships go. Then Dominion High Command intervenes. A fresh legion drops in to steal the kill, claim the glory, and hunt the fleeing transports. To stop it, Kiraveth commits the unthinkable. She turns on her own, duels the rival warlord, and holds the bridge with Marcus at her side. The civilians jump to safety. The bridge becomes legend. And the warlord who came to break a human ends up carrying him to her medical bay, asking for the next battle, together. An HFI military siege story about stubborn courage, earned respect, and the moment an enemy decides conquest isn't the only victory. Keywords: HFI, HFI, FI, military Sci-Fİ, last stand, bridge defense, siege, alien warlord Veth'kai Dominion, orbital drop infantry, wounded soldier, evacuation, choke point, improvised defenses. Reactor rigged, honor versus survival. Enemies to allies, warlord duel, betrayal, space war, humanity fuck yeah.